Hey people, sorry for the radio silence. I had come down with a bit of a sickness after I was engaging in what some considered unsafe behavior. I had gotten a little too greedy and dug a little too deep. My sin was therefore punished with the pestilence. I wouldn't ever do it all over again, because that's what good top does. But after taking a little break, I feel a lot better now, and I'm truly ready to spread my ass cheeks and shit all over this game and its player base. The Council of Gamers give their final verdict. For dying to Pinwheel, you should be exiled to your Donetsk.
No!
Donetsk.
No!
Hello and welcome. My name is WebDiver, and Escape from Tarkov is a ripoff. And if you like Tarkov, you're a gimp, and no better than Souls Cucks. There are people in this world who use video game prowess as a measure of moral character, as though sitting in mother's basement and spending a week reaching masters in League of Legends somehow makes you morally superior to the man who volunteers his time helping the homeless. If gamers had their way, the world would be divided into a hierarchy where video game skill level determines their social position. A video game high school was not just a comedic web show that never got covered by Kotaku, but a blueprint for society.
Prostitutes, yeah!
If you can't at least beat Julius Gundyr as a depraved first try, then you ought not to be considered human. The Tarkov Gimps have a similar mentality towards their game and fellow players, except it's exacerbated by the fact that Escape from Tarkov is a tactical shooter, which attracts the worst kinds of humans, gun autists and military LARPers. Further divided into fanboys and Nazis, these are people who are attracted to realism and military simulation. Obviously unfit to serve any actual military, whether it be for mental or physical reasons, they instead chose the second best option to act out their depraved fantasies. Video games. Switches sadist and masochists. They enjoy the pain that post-communism depression Russia could give them, and enjoy causing pain to other players by extract camping me. They are also absolutely loyal to their dominators, Battlestate Games, and their cock and ball torture simulator Escape from Tarkov. Story. Escape from Tarkov takes the Dark Souls Miyazaki approach to storytelling, meaning that's all esoteric and boring as shit. Half the story is told in item descriptions and dialogue boxes that you never read or listen to. It's only after you watch a dozen lore videos do you actually understand what the fuck you wasted hundreds of hours of your life on. The basic gist, as told by the intro cinematic, is that you play as a PMC, private military contractor. We're not Blackwater, we're worse. We're USEC, or we're bears. If you're USEC, you're hired by Terror Group, an evil-ass company. If you're a bear, then you're hired by the Russian government to stop Terror Group. The fighting caused by the Russian interference in the free market destabilized the city of Tarkov, turning it into a PvP zone. Months later, due to a mysterious EMP attack and a quarantine set up by the Russian government, you are separated from the outside world and need to find a way to escape from Tarkov. How do we escape? By completing hundreds of tasks for our dominators and dominatrix, otherwise known as the traders. The traders are corrupt officials, Discord moderators, gay. They're Tarkov's oligarchs, controlling the flow of trade in and out of Tarkov, and they have you by the balls. If you want to escape from Tarkov, you have to do what they ask, no questions asked. Along the way of being their bitch and doing their bitch work, you'll level up the traders and get access to higher tier equipment and items that you can use in raids. Now this is gameplay. Escape from Tarkov is an online realistic FPS with RPG mechanics. Imagine if DayZ had a skill tree like Skyrim, but instead of an open world, you play Tarkov in matches or raids. We begin raids by selecting a map and queuing, an often minutes-long process. When the raid begins, we spawn on a random point on the map and a countdown timer begins. Remember, all we're doing are tasks, which can be as simple as stuffing trash in our bags and taking it back to our dominators or killing scavs.
You boys ready for your cock meat sandwich?
Scavs are accurate portrayals of Russian gopniks. They're the lumpen proletariat of Tarkov, who decided they had more freedom under the quarantine than under the Russian boot, which they're not wrong about. Scavs are poor, they're stupid, and the only thing that makes them a threat is sheer numbers. They serve as one of the many obstacles, along with their gimps, to stop you from extracting. Is how we complete a raid in Tarkov. Unless of course you get stuck and go MIA. There's also dying, which, pro tip, don't do. You can also transition by taking estrogen. After you extract, you can unload the trash you took from your raids into your stash and hideout. The stash represents your PMC's net worth. It's where you store the majority of your hard assets, such as guns and Funko Pops. The hideout is your PMC's goon cave in Tarkov. It serves primarily as a place of crafting. Like all good games, Tarkov has in-depth crafting mechanics, such as level 1 laboratory craft, 1 pack of A4 printer paper, which after 26 minutes can be transformed into 2 rolls of toilet paper. Crafting is non-optional in Tarkov, as crafting can save millions of rubles when compared to the opportunity cost of buying from the flea market. The flea market is the player-driven economy of Tarkov. Inspiring capitalists list their wares on the flea, which other players can buy from. Ooh, the flea market used to be a beautiful thing. I mean, you had players that would just play the flea market, nothing else. If you go onto YouTube and look up Tarkov flea market, you can see people just scamming the fuck out of each other. I mean, the flea market was scummier than 18 Bazaar, dog. That shit was ridiculous. I miss it. You can't really do scams nowadays because there's so many level restrictions and whatever. But, you know, where there's a will, there's a way. And the market will adapt. Fucking hilarious stuff. If we wanted to condense the Tarkov gameplay loop, what you actually be doing for thousands of hours of your life, first, prepare. Many of the tasks in Tarkov can be quite complicated, requiring, I'm not lying, hours of research. By hour 30 of Tarkov, your YouTube recommendations will be filled with Tarkov task walkthroughs, tier lists, and Pestyly's guides to maps. It may sound overkill, it is not. Minus the pedophilia, Tarkov is an NCAP's wet dream, where only the most competitive can survive in the free market. Trust me, the gimps are competitive. Second, raid and extract. Within raid, you'll sneak around the map, completing tasks, eliminating threats, and then finally extracting. Often, you won't be able to extract either because of intended game mechanics or because of other players. If this happens, then repeat step 1 and 2 as many times as needed. This is usually where the game sinks its teeth into you. Like gambling addicts, Tarkov players don't care how much they lose because they're not here to win. They're here for the dopamine surge of hitting once. Third, housekeeping. After completing a raid, you'll ultimately burden with loot which you'll unload into your stash to either sell, use, or turn in for a task. While at the hideout, why not start a craft, collect any finished crafts, or organize your stash. Then once you finish housekeeping, begin preparing for the next raid, thus beginning a new loop. The Tarkov gameplay loop is really fun and addictive. There's no other game out on the market like it, but only when it works. The top complaint about Tarkov has been, and always will be, its inaccessibility. Not to be confused with its difficulty. I mean, literally, being able to play one raid of Tarkov is an achievement in itself. Like a bipolar e-girl, this game's unstable half the time and completely breaks the other half. And the optimization, fuck me. This game does not run well, and if you're a poor Indonesian RMTer, you have my respect for playing this game at 30 FPS to support your family. Is it any wonder this game runs like shit when half your GPU's processing power is being used to render literal trash everywhere? The Tarkovians must be a filthy, low-culture people who must already have been living in filth before the conflict even started. And the chances are, if you can't buy a good PC, you can't buy Tarkov. This game has had a total of 5 different editions at 5 different price points, but in actuality, it's really only ever been 2 at one time. You will either pay for its cheapest tier to try it out, and then if you like it, pay for the full experience. These other tiers are psychological mind traps to confuse the gullible gimps. I believe Battlestate Games intentionally wastes the experience of the lower tiers in order to artificially increase the value of the highest tier. If true, that's a devious sales tactic that not even Todd Howard has pulled off. But at the same time, if you're a gimp who bought these tiers, Then like a sissy cage, these symbols are a sign of your submissiveness. But even if you have a good PC and bought the game, got past the tutorial, and actually started queuing, then boy oh boy, you're in for a treat. How does the Tarkov matchmaking work? I don't know, and I think neither does Battlefield. I'll say, for new players, the first 100 hours of this game, 20 will be nothing but queuing. From these servers to the queues, to the loading times and the bugs, it takes so long to play this game that the age demographic for this game is split between 20-year-old neets neglecting life's responsibilities and 40-year-old divorced dads neglecting their children because they're the only people who can afford the time commitment. Tarkov also has a severe identity crisis between its most-sum aspects and its RPG mechanics, because while it may be the best example of immersive gunplay, it's one of the worst multiplayer RPGs. Quests or tasks in most RPGs suck, and Tarkov is no different. Most Tarkov tasks do not give the impression of a game presenting fun, unique, or narrowly nuanced quest design. They seem to be designed with the same mindset of 90s video game designers. If the games are hard, then the kids will have to play the game more, in an attempt to pad out the game's content, while not even contributing to the story at all. We're not talking about the Tarkov storyline. I know many of you in the audience don't care about that, especially the Gimps, considering that there's 0 videos talking about the Tarkov 1.0 story, except for a video by Only Sinner, which has 5K views. EO Gaming, we still talk about you. There used to be so much interest in story and lore, but why is it now that nobody cares about it? Is it perhaps because BSG is incapable of telling a good story? I was not kidding when I said half of the story is told to you in eye descriptions. You even learn the antagonist's main motivations in a diary entry that nobody reads and boils down to, "We did it for Homo Superior." A twist that reveals that Terror Group have the motivations of a Saturday morning cartoon villain, which completely falls flat for most players. What kind of twist is this? Why is it told to players in such a boring ass way too? No gravitas, no drama, nothing. Was there a gas leak at BSG headquarters? I mean, the twist is not that stupid. I think it is interesting, but only if Tarkov didn't take it so seriously. Like if the cultists who we find out were behind Terror Group were bigger and yelled, "Get the fuck out of Tarkov, we're the master race." It could have played off better, but as is, this twist, as we're deeply invested in the lore, comes out of nowhere and is so dumb that nobody cares. Any emotional investment you could ever have in this game is completely gutted about how long it takes to play this game. The only solace for most Gimps finishing the game's story is finally being able to say, "I escaped Tarkov," and then going right back in. And none of this would matter if the story was not the point of Tarkov, but it is. It so clearly is. The number one and biggest change for Tarkov 1.0 was the story. The cutscenes, the trailers, the set dressing, it's clear that BSG cares about it, but nobody wanted it. And how it's implemented is so whatever. It's also just so hilarious too, because in the movies and those advertisements, they give off those themes of, we're warriors, there's honor. But playing this game does not elicit such positive feelings. No, these people are scum, and I will treat them as such. Which is not to say that a multiplayer FPS RPG is not a novel idea. It is. But the way that is implemented in Tarkov means that progress is slow for new players, and it's an awful experience of being outgunned by 10k hour Gimps, which is the source of the Tarkov is difficult circle jerk. The Gimps want to say that this game is difficult because it's skillful, when really it's the fact that Tarkov is an RPG that doesn't have skill-based matchmaking. Level 1s will be matched against level 40s with any game gear in the same raid. At that high of a level, you are literally fighting super soldiers hopped up on stims and Vaseline. Is it unfair? Yes, but it's also half the fun. Some players play this game like it's COD, others like a survival horror, and I don't want it any other way. It's the Tarkov experience, where each player must work to become the monster. But I think developing a superiority complex because you put more hours into this game to do your job makes you no better than Henry Kissinger. And worse yet, the gimps who have done every task in Tarkov now suffer from the worst thing in most online RPGs.
It seems to be once you become like a billionaire, you become like a pedophile or something like that. What's going on?
There's nothing to do late game. If all billionaires...
Tarkov, unlike WoW or Final Fantasy, doesn't have anything besides raids and tasks to fill its content. Nikita says there'll be DLC, but a game studio whose only purpose is to make games took 10 years to make one. That DLC will either come in the next Hades Comet or be more bare bones than anorexic. There's really nothing left for the Gimps to do besides escape or prestige. If they pick the latter, then the Gimps are truly cattle. They have now turned Tarkov into an infinity game and are actually measurably depriving themselves from having new and meaningful experiences in their lives. Nikita may have created the prison, but it's the Gimps who have imprisoned themselves. Tarkov will in time be forgotten as the progenitor of the extraction shooter genre and its most mismanaged. Over 10 years of development time, and this is what they have to show for it. What is happening at Ballstate Games? Did the war in Ukraine kill the senior programmers? Why does a game that sold over 1 million copies still take 5 minutes to queue? And why is the player base all gay lords, non-derogatory? I have tried to make a video on Tarkov for the past 3 years, whether it be a game review or otherwise. I wrestled with the idea of it and why I like it. And I think fundamentally, I too am a gimp. I enjoy extract/task camping other players. I love a challenge. I love getting my ass beat because the highest highs can only be that high when compared to the lowest lows. But unlike the rest of the gimps, I've seen the shape of it all. When Tarkov works, it's amazing. From the guns, to the aesthetics, to the fights. It's just too bad that every other aspect of this game fucking sucks hot ass. There's just so much bullshit. Bullshit that keeps me away from the raids, and every minute that I'm not in the raids makes me want to kill myself. I'm choosing to move on from this game, and I encourage any gimps in the audience to do the same. You can free yourself. You had the key all along. All you have to do is insert it, twist it, and go. Goodbye and see you next time. By the way, some of you may notice that this footage is from an older version of EFT, and that's because it is. This gameplay was recorded about a month or two after the release of War Below, and I've been sitting on it because being a productive member of society is a foreign concept to the Montenegrins. I may be criticized for judging Ballstate using outdated information. My rebuttal? This is 1.0. This is the finished big ass asterisk on that word game, and it cost me €50. This is what BG thinks is a completed product. I have the right to bitch. Second, even after almost months since 1.0, none of the shit that's been playing in early access or 1.0 has been fixed. Tarkov fucking sucks and Ballstate is incompetent are evergreen statements. However, making such statements or defending BSG has become a social jerk so large like the Ouroboros cycle. The jerk has routed back, and the Tarkov community is eating its own ass. Every comment we leave or video we make, either criticizing or defending Tarkov and or BSG, is another rope on our faces. Goodbye and see you next time.
Full of cum. 3 little words. Get fucked, nerd.